Hello and welcome to Cutting Words. I'm Brad Thompson and today we've got a quick review of Spelljammer, Adventures in Space. This is a 3-book box set plus a DM screen that came out not long ago, earlier this month. 2 weeks? So what is time with all these? Well, there's been a lot of D&D announcements lately. But yes, it came out very recently, immediately overshadowed by announcements from the D&D Wizards Presents announcement events with 1D&D and whatnot on the horizon. But anyway, Spelljammer Adventures in Space comes with a book that is about player options and kind of general gist of the setting, Spelljammer space setting, and as well as a monster book, so Boo's Astral Menagerie, that covers the bunch of monster stats of monsters you can find in the wild space and the astral sea, and the Light of Zarsis, which is a adventure, which I've not read because I managed to con one of my players on my games to run me this adventure, so I'm looking forward to playing in that. But that has not started yet. Schedules and whatnot. Every D&D campaign's bane. But here's hoping. I'm looking forward to playing in that because I read the Astral Vectors guide, all the player options, and Boo's Astral Menagerie, and I fell in love with this setting. This looks like so much fun. So it looks very exciting. Looks very silly, like very lighthearted, and a lot of comedic elements, as well as horror and sci-fi space elements mixed in with this kind of D&D fantasy world. And it's it looks very fresh, especially if you've done a lot of the classic D&D adventure modules and things now. You play a lot of the classic D&D, you want something, looking for something a bit different. Spelljammer Adventures in Space is definitely worth a look. So yeah, I really enjoyed everything I read here. My only complaint would be it is a bit short. Each book, all 3 books combined equal length of roughly one regular book release. So even though it's been divvied up into 3 books, they haven't really gained much page count here. So it does feel a little short. But what they do have here is pretty fantastic. So in the Astral Vectors guide, we get given 2 new backgrounds, the Astral Drifter and the Wild Spacer, each with that grants you a free feat. So the Astral Drifter, you get a Magic Initiate feat, cleric spells, and the Wild Spacer, you get the Tough feat, as well as you don't suffer a disadvantage when fighting in 0 gravity, which probably might be useful in space. Alright, races, we get 6 new races there. The Astral Elf, the Auto Gnome, so you're a robot gnome, the GIF or GIF, hippo people, Hidozi, flying monkey people, and the Plasmoid, so you can play an ooze, and the Thrycreen, insect folk, basically. So definitely encouraging you to play all those wacky options there. You can finally play some kind of crazy race options that may not be allowed in regular D&D campaigns, who want to have a bit more serious feel to them, or didn't really fit the setting or mood. You can try all the weird and wonderful things here in Spelljammer. It's definitely the setting for that. The Astral, next in the chapter is Astral Adventuring, which is just covering all the details of wild space and like how asteroids and spaceships and all that stuff, basically anything that leaves the atmosphere of a planet, generates its own air envelope around it. So that's how it magically has its own bubble of air that needs to be replenished after a certain amount of time, otherwise it suffocates. That's when you do need to visit larger bodies of air, based around comets or asteroids or planets. You dock in every 100 or so days to refresh that air. And the process of flying your Spelljammer ship and all that. So it goes over the rules of that. But it goes a bit light on the rules there. But it's basically the same as seafaring rules, sailing a ship. And there is a lot of options and expanded. If you want more information on that, expanded options on ship sailing and ship management, there's actually a massive section of that in the Ghost of Saltmarsh book. There's the appendix, the most massive appendix ever. It goes to Saltmarsh, has a whole section on seafaring and different ship options and ship upgrades. which I think is definitely worth a look. If you're looking at running a Spelljammer adventure, I think definitely worth checking out Ghost of Saltmarsh. The appendix, the massive appendix there on ships, ship upgrades, ship management. Definitely take a look at that, because I think that goes hand in hand with Spelljammer. I think will work really well to expand some options there, because definitely this book that lacks Spelljammer book lacks ship upgrade options, and this could give you some good inspiration there of what you're looking at. All right, so moving on down, there is a bunch of just information on biogravity planes as well. Every ship and large object in space has its own gravity plane. So basically ignore how actual science works, and there's some interesting fantasy science that kind of simplifies things. Well, debatably simplifies things anyway. Everything's got a gravity plane and air envelope there. Very interesting stuff. For magic items and spells, there isn't too much there, just a few extra for each that just help cover with traveling through the astral sea and in wild space. Traveling through those systems, just some spells help with that, breathing in space, and during a spell jamming helm, which is basically a magic chair that controls your spaceship. Easy. There's a whole heap of spell jamming ships presented in this book, 16 all up, covering all various types of ships, some that look very much like a regular sailing ship, but they go in space, as well as a lot of weird, interesting ones. A favorite of mine is the Tyrant ship, which is basically a bunch of beholders got together and used their eye beams to kind of carve out a bunch of rock and hurl it into space, and they jumped on board. These beholders just jumping on board this rock and flying it through space, and that's all you need. Very good. Off we go. So these beholders are just flying through this rock they carved out for themselves and named as a ship. And off they go, and it's all powered by their beholder power. So that just amused me a lot, their Tyrant ship, with the crew of beholders. And yeah, so every ship's got blueprint plans in the book. So if you need to run, you're boarding a ship, they're all there for you. The ship combat rules are a little disappointing. They're there, but it's mostly you want to get close and board the other ship and turn into a regular D&D combat is kind of the gist of it. So yeah, a few things what you can do, pop shotting them as whatever as the ship's close together, but ultimately it turns into a regular D&D combat pretty quick. There's nothing too exciting with the combat rules here, which could be modified a bit depending on your DM and looking at examples in the Ghost of Saltmarsh book, because I feel like they definitely did a better job in the Ghost of Saltmarsh regarding ship options and ship combat, so definitely check that out. And finally, in the Astral's Adventurer's Guide, it covers the Rocket Brow, which is a hub world, is an example of a city that's built into an asteroid that you can go to, and kind of runs through different, covers all important people there and what type of things you can acquire and do at the Rocket Brow. It's pretty well covered. I definitely like the amount of information they're given there for the Rocket Brow. I definitely get some good ideas just reading the inspiration of adventures you could run from the Rocket Brow. I really like I like this rock. This rock is solid. It's a solid rock, and definitely worth checking out if you're wanting an example of some kind of space hub world. Boo's Astral Menagerie came with a lot of cool monster stats, so I'm definitely going to steal and put in regular D&D campaigns. It's super cool. And also, if you wanted to know how much damage you would take if you went into a star, now you know. Any creature that enters the star or starts its turn inside it takes 132 radiant damage, or 24 d10 radiant damage there. Wow. So if you wanted to know, now you do. That's how much damage you take if you enter a star. I think one of my favorite monsters in this book is, I don't know, it might not be the most exciting, but it definitely is, I think, the most terrifying. I think they've really upped their game with some of the challenge ratings here with these monsters. I really like the look of the Braxit, just being such a solid monster. It's got 18 armor class, which is very respectable. the CR9 giant. A huge creature, 162 hit points, 40-foot speed. Again, pretty solid. Got a little bit more speed than the average creature. And it's got immunities to acid and psychic, charmed and frightened, dark vision. And it's got multi-attack that's plus 12 to hit with 10-foot reach that hits for 21 bludgeoning damage. It's like a truck. It's got a little cone attack and do a bunch of acid damage there, as well as a couple of spells, compulsion and fear. But it's also got a nice trick which monsters don't normally get, which is the Sonic Shield, which is effectively a mundane or non-magic, not a spell, shield spell. So it's always nice to have the option there where some NPCs can put up a shield spell, especially when it already has a high AC. So I find that's a common tactic. Players like having high base AC through armor or some other means, and have the shield spell on top. So it's nice seeing a NPC stat block that has that as well. I've got 18 AC and I can cast shield and I hit like a truck. And a bunch of immunities built in as well. So just such a solid stat block. And it's CR9, and I can definitely see that just looking at it's definitely gonna get my money's worth from that CR9 point against players. It's a solid stat block. Might not be the most exciting one on this list, but definitely the most solid. And I definitely appreciate having a stat block I can just go, oh, this is a pretty reliable, challenging stat block. I can always pull out if need be, or basic creature off if I want to run something similar. Rather than dinosaur giant that is here in Spelljammer. But it's very, very solid. So it's nice to see. But there are weird other things here like murder comets and vampirates and space clowns and a whole bunch of weird and wonderful things. So definitely can easily lean into the comedy here with the setting, or the horror, cosmic horrors and whatnot in here too. So dealer's choice of how you want to go when running Spelljammer. Also at the start of the new monster book here for Spelljammer, there is a bunch of tables. So you can, for Wild Space and the Astral Sea, where you can roll on to determine random encounters flying through space. There's got a lot of opportunities for random travel encounters, as well as options for rolling the initial attitude of the random encounter. So it might be a friendly space creature as opposed to a enemy ship or what have you. So there's different options there we can roll on and different encounters there. So it's pretty cool, pretty well done, and definitely needed for such an expansive space setting. And finally, with the Light of Xarxis campaign, it is designed to be quite a short campaign, as I understand it. Very serialized, space adventure feel, apparently ends in cliffhangers, and running from levels 5 through to 8. If I remember right there. So I'm expecting it to be quite a short run. No reason why I want to play it. I can fit in a short campaign, it'll be great. Let's go. So we'll see how that goes. It's pretty exciting. So overall, this looks like a very fun, fresh setting. Spelljammer Adventures in Space. I can't wait to delve in and play this. Further to that, Wizards of the Coast have released a playlist to go with the setting called Spell Jams. Really play into that comedic twist there. So Spell Jams you can find on Spotify. Look that up. I've been cranking that all week. It's been great beats. Check that out. Spell Jams on Spotify. The official playlist for Spelljammer Adventures in Space. Alright, if you like these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. Really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much. I'm Brad Thompson, and this has been Cutting Words. Happy gaming, and see ya.